I have wired this tree some time ago, and now this wire here is already biting into the bark, and it's time to remove it. And that made me think about constraints in software development and when is the right time to remove them. Hello, my name is David, and you're watching a series where I'm talking about software development while working on my bonsai trees and pre-bonsai. This tree here is part of a group of 9 trees that I want to create a group planting from. But first they have to grow a little bit thicker and taller, and that's why they are in those pond baskets right now. And I'm wiring them out in a way to give them some shape and also to help them grow thicker. And with this tree, the wire is already biting into the bark. I think you can see it here and also here. And now it's really time to remove it, because if I wait a little bit longer, it might hurt the tree. I added this wire to grow the tree into a different shape than it was before, and might not have been on the tree long enough to fix this growth habit. So this is a conifer, and conifers tend to slowly move back into their old position when you remove the wire too early. So should I keep the wire on longer to make sure that it doesn't grow back? No, because keeping the wire on would definitely hurt the tree now. And we have the same thing with constraints in software development. So while I remove some of the wire, let's talk about that. Say you're creating a constraint for your team that all new code needs a certain test coverage to be committed to the main line. That may or may not be a good constraint. It probably isn't, but you've added it. And now when should you remove this constraint again? One good time to remove it might be when the constraint was successful, when you see that the team did change their habits and that the constraint is no longer needed. But another good time to remove it is when the constraint is causing more harm than good. And it's sometimes not easy to tell the two apart, like it is here with this tree. Did the wire already fix the branches into place? Maybe. Is it causing more harm than good already? Probably. So I'm mostly removing it for the second reason, that it's already creating more harm than it helps. But it might also be the case that it was already on long enough. So I'm now trying to gently unwire the tree. And whenever I get the feeling that I'm hurting the tree by unwiring, I will use the wire cutters to cut the wire. So better sacrifice the wire than the tree. Here's another thing. If the tree starts moving back into its old position because the wire was not on long enough, then I can add a wire in a different place. So I'm adding a different constraint with the same goal. And we can do the same in software development. If our original constraint, say the test coverage, did not give us the desired result, then we might add a different constraint that says you must write the test before the code or whatever. And then how do we check for this constraint? Maybe we mandate pair programming or ensemble programming for certain kinds of code. So maybe you can see it here. There are places where the wire has already bitten into the tree. And if I add a wire in the same place, then I make the problem worse. So that's why I've said next time I apply wire, I must do it at a different place. I must apply a different constraint. What can we learn for software development? If we add some constraints for our code or for our team, we should evaluate them and check for 2 things. First, was it successful? Then we might want to remove it or change it. Or is it already doing more harm than it's helping? Then we also must remove it or change the constraint or apply a different constraint. So where are places where you had constraints from your product owner or from your team or within your team that were doing more harm than good, in your opinion? Tell me in the comments and tell me how you solved this situation.